Hey everybody, it is Thursday, May 29th, this Friday Eve, the last palindrome of the month. Jill, 52925, 52925, both ways. You're listening to the Mo News Podcast. I'm Moshe Wanunu.
And I am Jill Wagner. This is the place where we bring you just the facts.
And we read all the news and read between the lines so you don't have to, and give you cool math facts.
I feel like you were so looking forward to this stretch of time. Wait, what is it called? A palindrome?
Palindrome week.
Yes. And I feel bad that it's almost over because I feel like you enjoyed it.
It was my birthday. My birthday fell on palindrome week. My birthday, 52125, 52125. Palindrome, of course, folks, is like same thing backwards as forward. So like words like race car or madam or the number 1001, or in this case, basically a week in May in 2025. At least the way the Americans write our dates with month, date, year.
The word wow.
Wow.
Oh, and
mom, dad. You guys can play this game on your way to school this morning. Hopefully Apple, I'm talking to you, Apple. Yesterday, for those of you who listen to us on Apple, there was some issue. There was a tech issue. And apparently it's common. Megyn Kelly was like going off on Apple on her X account. She actually indicated she thought it was because she was like going after trans people. And she's like, Apple, you're getting all woke. And I'm like, no, I think it's a tech issue at Apple. So our podcast was up on Spotify, every other platform, but we were having an Apple issue as well. We had to like re-upload it and then it finally worked. So apologies to those of you who listen to us on Apple. Hopefully you've gotten us bright and early on this Thursday morning.
I know which of my friends listen based on the texts I get in the morning that are like the code red, podcast isn't up, what's going on? At least I know who listens on Apple.
Then we have like a text thread where like I'm texting and then Jill is texting. It's like, I'm not seeing it. Are you seeing it? And so anyway.
We're on it. So thank you for your patience.
It makes for interesting 6:42 in the morning text messages.
Let's get to some headlines. A dire warning about AI. One tech exec says about half of all entry-level jobs could be on the chopping block within the next few years. Moshe, you have a great interview with an AI expert. We'll talk about some of the skills that he says future job seekers will need.
Jill, those are the entry-level jobs. It could be 7 out of 10 jobs total over the next decade or two that are lost to AI. I spoke to that Bank of America sort of trend forecaster. What he says we should be working on immediately and also telling our kids to work on to adapt to our new AI reality.
Now to the Middle East, confirmation that Hamas's Gaza chief, Mohammad Sinwar, has been killed. And we have been here before, but U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff says there has been a possible breakthrough in a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Plus, President Trump confirms that he did tell Israel, do not strike Iran.
Yeah, one of those rare situations where you see that headline saying sources tell the Washington Post, New York Times that this happened on the phone call. And then Trump was asked about it yesterday, and he's like, yep, I actually said that.
We are going to play the clip, but it was interesting watching the press conference because he was asked specifically if he said it. You see him pause for a second, and then he was just like, you know what? I'm going to be honest. Yeah, sure. I said it.
Sure. One of the anonymous reports you can believe now.
To another possible peace deal, Russia proposes peace talks with Ukraine for next week, and how long President Trump says it will take to know if Russia is serious about stopping the war. In science news, astronomers discover a strange new celestial object in our Milky Way galaxy.
There's a lot happening out there in outer space, Jill. This one's a few million, trillion miles away.
And the age-old question, should you shower in the morning or at night? A microbiologist says there is a clear answer, although in brief discussions with Moshe before this podcast, it sounds like he doesn't buy it.
I'm going to take issue with the microbiologist, Jill. Stay tuned, folks. And you will find out when I shower and when Jill showers. Jill's timing every day might surprise you.
And Moshe has on this day in history.
Joyful, joyful, oh Lord, we adore thee.
That's the tease.
That's the tease. and
I think I know it.
And teasing a certain film that came out in the 90s.
Okay, let's start with a blunt warning about AI and what it will mean for jobs. The CEO of Anthropic, which is one of the world's most powerful creators of artificial intelligence, is warning that AI could wipe out half of all entry-level white-collar jobs in the next 1 to 5 years. Dario Amodei telling Axios that it could spike unemployment to 10 to 20%. The current unemployment rate, by the way, just for comparison, is at about 4% right now. So we could see that quadrupled even more. Now, some of the professions impacted: technology, finance, law, particularly entry-level positions. Moshe, it is similar to what a top expert in AI told you recently about the impact of this technology.
Yeah, Jill, we had a fascinating conversation this week with a Bank of America researcher, a forecaster, the head of global thematic research. His name is Chaim Israel, and his job literally is to predict what's going to happen in the coming years and coming decades. And I did the interview earlier this week, and we were going to look at putting it out in the next few weeks. And then we get this barrage of AI headlines in the last 24 hours. And so we made a point of putting this out immediately to our premium followers. So if you're a Mo News Premium member, it's over on the Premium podcast as of yesterday. And what Israel says here is that the problem for humans is that AI is entering a brand new era. And when we say new era, it could be a matter of months, this major breakthrough. The issue right now is, for most people, we encounter ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude or pick your favorite AI, and we use it to help us with our jobs. Hey, can you summarize this for me? Can you read through this report for me? Can you write an apology note? What did we say yesterday, Jill? The kids who use it to cheat, and then they wrote an apology note using AI
the apology
again
email
for their teachers. So people are using AI to help them. The problem is we're now going to go to something called agentic AI, as in AI being an agent of a human. So it's not going to just help us with our jobs. It's going to replace us at our jobs, many jobs. And so we're talking about entire departments: HR department, research department, speech writing department. You might need one person instead of 10 people, one person instead of 8 people, no people at all. And that is a major issue right now because, Jill, we're literally talking. I was like, come on, in that 10 years from now? He's like, no, this could be like 18 months from now. And we are not prepared right now for what is going to be an avalanche of wholesale change. Because keep in mind, if you're running a company, you're trying to make a profit, people cost a lot of money. And if AI can replace that at cents on the dollar, then you're going to eliminate those jobs. And there's going to be a wholesale just change in the workforce. And this could present major issues in the coming years.
So we have been talking about AI replacing human jobs for a while, but these new numbers, half of all entry-level positions, 7 out of 10 other positions, pretty shocking. And the CEO of Anthropic says it's because the technology is just moving so quickly, and a lot of people aren't paying attention. So you've got lawmakers whose average age is in their 60s, at least in the Senate, who don't totally understand the technology. Most CEOs don't really want to talk about it. And then regular people, like most of us, they still see those AI chatbots as fancy search engines, as you were just talking about. But the models are getting smarter and smarter. They're better at summarizing, reading documents, reviewing legal contracts, delivering specific interpretations of medical symptoms. And there have been studies that have shown that AI can actually diagnose some diseases better than regular doctors. Ironically, Amodei's company just rolled out the latest version of his own AI, which can code at near human levels. This one quote really stood out to me, where he's talking about how AI has the power to unleash mass good and bad at scale. He says, quote, "Cancer could be cured, the economy grows at 10% a year, the budget is balanced, and 20% of people don't have jobs." And you might be wondering, why is he talking about this? He says it's because, as one of the producers of this technology, he and others really have a duty and obligation to be honest about what is coming. He says a lot of people simply don't believe the power of AI and the impact that it could have, in this case, on the job market, wiping out hundreds of thousands of jobs. So, Moshe, I listened to your interview with the AI expert, Chaim Israel. He had a similar take. And what he said was so fascinating, which is that we are just at the edge of the beginning of this. So it's the beginning of this kind of blurring of humans and machines. And I thought his advice for young people was also pretty fascinating.
Yeah, we'll get to his advice here in a second. We'll play a bit of that interview that we have over on the Premium podcast. Ultimately, he agrees that the AI revolution is moving at speeds we have never seen in the past. And with that, the job market is going to struggle to keep up. There's a lot of studies, Jill, that show that ultimately, like the internet before it, like the Industrial Revolution before it, that AI will end up creating more jobs than it eliminates. The problem we have right now is that it's going to eliminate more jobs before it creates them. So we're not going to have time to catch up. There's going to be this huge cliff that we fall off before those jobs are created. Because if you look at it, and what's interesting about this conversation, Jill, is we look at like the human history, which goes back about 1 million years. And the agricultural revolution took 400,000 years. Like we were hunting and gathering, we were out there, the Neanderthals, us, the Homo sapiens, kind of out there killing animals, whatever. We eventually, about like 12,000 years ago, start growing things, right? So growing things, the agricultural revolution changes the game. We start creating towns because now we live around our farms, etc. And that lasts a while. It creates new jobs, effectively. We're talking 12,000 years ago now, but ultimately creates some new jobs. Then fast forward to the Industrial Revolution. That took decades in the 1800s. But the time period basically between farming and the Industrial Revolution, give or take a couple thousand years there. Then we basically have about 100 plus years between the Industrial Revolution and the Internet Revolution. But even the Internet Revolution gave us some time. The Internet development moved relatively slowly there through the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s and the smartphone and the apps. We had time again to adapt here. And that's about 30 years, the Internet Revolution. Now, the AI revolution, this is warp speed. I mean, ChatGPT is only a couple years old, and now we're going to get to agentic AI. It is going to be explosive in how it changes things in just the next few years here. Here's a bit of what Chaim told me on the podcast.
In the internet revolution, past revolution said, okay, you know what? I'm going to go and learn the new stuff, the new technology, and I will be fine. And that could be used to my jobs. This time around, those apps, those agents can replace me. So the stuff that I will need are very, very different. When that put a spotlight on the education system. I don't need to be book smart anymore. In the device like this, in my mobile phone today, I have the best information out there, can be analyzed, I can do it. I have access to everything. And now, unlike history, it's just an app. I don't need to go and search the internet and work days and days. It's an app. Give you the best information out there. It's getting better and better all the time. So I don't need to be book smart anymore. I don't need to memorize. I don't need a lot of skills that I've needed in the past. I don't need all those graduates. I need creativity. I need social skills. I need to think out of the box.
So, Jill, that's the interesting part, that last part. What we need moving forward, what's going to be especially important moving forward, because AI is going to basically replace the book smarts, but we still need those human skills. We need empathy. We need social skills. We need the ability to work with others. We need creativity, because ultimately, if we all work off the same AI or similar AI, it's going to keep pumping out the same ideas. And so you're going to need humans to be like, hey, give me something different. The AI machine is, not giving me the greatest ideas when it comes to something that our company needs to do or our school needs to do, etc. And so those are qualities that, at least for now, hopefully, robots cannot replicate. AI also not taking trade jobs. So like AI is not coming to your home and knocking down walls and renovating, right? So there is going to be, there already is a shortage, we've talked about on this podcast, shortage of plumbers and electricians and contractors and mechanics, a variety of those jobs, the trades. And by the way, they're doing incredibly well in the last few years. In some cases, you look at annual income and you're making much more money running a plumbing company, a pest company, being a contractor than you are with, say, a liberal arts degree from a university. Where, by the way, on top of that, you're probably in a bunch of debt, student loan debt as well. So there's going to be an emphasis here on the trade schools as well. But, one of the questions I got over and over again, Jill, is like, what should I tell my kid? My kid's 16. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do with their life. And they're sort of freaking out about this, which explains one of the reasons why Gen Z wants AI to slow down, because they're kind of like, they're going to be taking all the junior level jobs. Like, what am I doing when I get out of college?
Can they wait just like 6 years, 7 years?
Like, wait for me to get my first job so I can like develop some skills before AI replaces me? And, the recommendation so far is like, just become like, understand AI, like be well read in an AI, because at the end of the day, as AI develops, you still need humans around it to sort of like make decisions based on what AI said, or to ask specific questions of AI. It's a real art to work with AI. The way you conduct a Google search is different than you conduct an AI search in terms of how you ask a question and how you get a better response from AI. So working with AI, increasing the output of AI, that's going to be key, along with the soft skills we're talking about here, like teamwork and critical thinking and emotional intelligence, even humor. AI, I think it's working on its comedy, but I've asked it for some funny stuff and puns and stuff in the past, Jill. It's not there yet.
Moshe, I thought it was also interesting and a bit disturbing how much energy and water it takes to keep up with AI and all of its data processing sensors, which Israel says will take a massive investment in infrastructure.
Yeah, he put some metaphors together in this podcast, and I don't remember them specifically, but it's like the amount of power lines that it currently takes to like power existing world is like from here to the moon to Neptune and back. And I think we need to triple that in the next few years to be able to keep up with just the amount of AI data centers that are going to be built, the water that they take. Every time you ask things, even of ChatGPT, you're using water, you're using power. And so, he put it in terms like this: they're going to require more land than Singapore, more energy than Japan currently uses. Abu Dhabi's building a data center that's the size of Monaco right now. And so this is going to be a huge issue, is how are we powering this? One of the breakthroughs he also talks about, and that's why I think it's so fascinating, these people whose literal job is to like think about the future. He's like, we are going to be on the precipice of a major energy breakthrough in the next few years too, when it comes to fusion power, solar. It's one of the reasons we're getting back to the moon, because we think there's certain elements there that can really power us in a new way, in a more efficient way. Huge breakthroughs, Jill, in our lifetime happening. One of the things that both the CEO of Anthropic, who spoke to Axios, as well as Chaim spoke to us, they say is like, governments need to get on board immediately and prepare people for this, because this is going to be a huge shock to the system. Jill, I will not be surprised if this comes up as a major issue next year in the midterm elections, but it will most definitely be an issue in 2028, as by then you will have a lot of Americans who are like, politician X, politician Y, Democrat, Republican, what are you doing about my job? What are you doing about my kid's job? And you can see the potential response, right? Go one direction. I'm going to make, corporations have to hire certain people. We're going to slow certain things down. And others will say, well, we got to work on job retraining. But again, it's not the internet. It's not the industrial. We don't have decades to play this game. We have a matter of years.
Right. Amadei was saying it's basically within this second Trump term that we're going to start to see the changes.
Yeah, I mean, the report also from Bank of America, that was the subject of our podcast, is the world 2030. Jill, we're like halfway through 2025. Like, this is happening now.
Okay, so is everyone going to sleep well tonight?
We'll get to that in the speed read at the end. Depends on when they shower, Jill.
Okay, time for the speed read. Let's start overseas. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has confirmed that Mohammad Sinwar, believed to be the latest head of Hamas, has in fact been killed, confirming his death in a recent strike in the Gaza Strip. Hamas had initially denied that he was dead for a few days, but reportedly they did find his body in recent days. They won't officially confirm it. They don't typically confirm things like that until they figure out who the new boss will be. Sinwar, if that name rings a bell, was the younger brother of Yahya Sinwar, who was the Hamas leader who helped mastermind the October 7th, 2023 attack that started the Israel-Hamas war. Yahya was killed by Israeli forces in October of 2024. Israeli strikes have now decimated Hamas's leadership during this 19-month war. Moshe, we're at about 600 days. And Mohammad Sinwar was one of the last widely known leaders still alive in Gaza.
Yeah, like his brother, he had sort of grown up in the Hamas movement, taking on a leadership role. He'd kept a pretty low profile, though. Only a handful of people actually knew about his movements, knew how to contact him. He had operated behind the scenes to the point where his nickname was Shadow, according to local officials. But the Israelis were able to track him down. In many cases, he would surround himself with Israeli hostages to try to prevent an attack. But the Israelis got word that he was moving about without hostages, and they were able to strike him recently. And so Hamas found his body, and this comes as they have taken out, the Israelis have, a number of leaders in the mid-level and senior level, nearly all gone. There's a photo, effectively, Jill, of all the Hamas leaders in Gaza just before the war. And I think all but one are now dead. It was a picture of almost 24 men there. They've taken out, of course, Sinwar, now the brother Sinwar, Mohammad, he was the number 2 there who ran military operations. Of course, there was the sort of famous assassination of Ismail Haniyeh, their political leader, in Iran while he was there to attend the funeral of the Iranian president. And so they've taken out a number of these folks. Notably, Mohammed Sinwar would have been somebody who would have signed off on a new ceasefire. So they have to figure out who the new guy is going to be, who will handle negotiations. There is an opportunity here for what's left of Hamas in Qatar to sort of take control back of the organization. The Sinwar brothers basically took control for a while now. Yahya Sinwar basically went rogue with the October 7th attacks. Not everyone in Qatar even knew what he was up to. In fact, there were talks about coordinating with Iran and Hezbollah, and he sort of just did his own thing. Now, they initially celebrated it. They're probably looking back at it, and they've now admitted probably a big mistake for that organization and the Gaza Strip, setting back the people, the territory, everything, decades. So now the group faces a power struggle just as the Israelis are making a new push into Gaza here. And you see Palestinians increasingly in Gaza not fearing Hamas retribution anymore, getting to the street and saying, we're done with you guys. You guys have destroyed our lives, and you keep talking about how more of us need to die and are replaceable as part of this, fight resistance against Israel. So the fact that Mohammed Sinwar is gone now, probably more people will feel confident speaking up against Hamas potentially in Gaza. The question is, who is next? And it does come as we're now hearing again from the U.S. Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, that there is a new proposal for a ceasefire. He's hoping that will actually lead to another sort of temporary ceasefire, at least for a month or two, that will lead to the release of more hostages by Hamas in exchange for Palestinian prisoners by Israel. He says that he feels good about this new document. He's hoping both sides will agree to it. The exit of Mohammed Sinwar, unclear whether that'll be a good thing or a bad thing here, but certainly Hamas on its back feet here, lost most of its leadership, lost most of its weapons at this point, and now is particularly worried about this new aid distribution system, Jill, because it used to control the aid, used to have basically control over the UN there in Gaza. And now the Israelis and the US have set up their own aid distribution. There was this incident yesterday where Hamas was actually shooting at Palestinians, trying to prevent them from going to the aid center because they really don't want this new aid distribution to work, because they used to get the aid for free, then resell it to the Palestinians, tax the Palestinians on it, make a lot of money off of it, and that's not working out. So we'll see what comes of it. But right now, I think it's easy to say there's a lot of international frustration in Washington, in London, in Paris, in Madrid, all over the Arab world. They really want a deal here. They really want this war to end on day 601.
Sticking with the Middle East, President Trump confirmed, reporting that he did tell Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to hold off on any type of military attack on Iran while the U.S. is trying to negotiate a nuclear deal with Iran. Trump said he told Netanyahu that it would be inappropriate to do a strike right now because they're very close to a solution. Israel, by the way, not participating in those ongoing talks. So here is how President Trump answered that question on Wednesday.
I just said, I don't think it's appropriate. We're having very good discussions with him. And I said, I don't think it's appropriate right now. Because if we can settle it with a very strong document, very strong, with inspections and no trust. I don't trust anybody. So no trust. I want it very strong where we can go in with inspectors. We can take whatever we want. We can blow up whatever we want, but nobody getting killed.
So Trump said that they're close to a deal, but he did say that could change literally at any moment.
As we know, Jill, as we watch these talks, they're on, they're off. We'll see if they can come to a deal here. The Israelis have been frustrated with the talks for a while. They feel they've really had Iran at its weak point with the destruction of major parts of Hezbollah, of taking out major Iranian defense elements in those exchanges of fire they had last year. So Netanyahu argued that this is the time for the death blow to take out the nuclear program. But Trump very keen on striking a deal here. This is something he tried with North Koreans in the first term. He's trying to strike a deal between Ukraine and Russia. He's trying to strike a deal between Hamas and Israel. And he wants to strike a deal between the U.S. and Iran. Very ambitious here. Now, Trump has called that deal that Iran had for years to prevent them from having nuclear weapons with the Obama administration a bad deal. He said Obama gave too much away. right now, the current deal looks pretty much like that deal. So we're going to see what deal is and how it is potentially better here. And so in the meantime, he's told Netanyahu to chill out.
Okay, now to another potential ceasefire from Axios. Russia proposed to Ukraine that the countries hold a second round of peace talks on Monday in Istanbul in order to exchange written proposals for a ceasefire and ending the war. Ukrainian officials see the Russian proposal as a way to placate President Trump, who has been growing increasingly frustrated with President Vladimir Putin, and even said Tuesday that the Russian president was, quote, playing with fire. Within hours of the proposal from Putin's advisor, the Ukrainian side provided Moscow with a document laying out how Ukraine sees the path to a ceasefire, negotiations, confidence-building measures, and then a leader-level meeting. Trump has been threatening sanctions or tariffs if Putin continues to bombard Ukrainian cities and rejects his ceasefire push. But he has refrained so far from taking any action despite urging from the Ukrainians and European allies. Trump said on Wednesday that it's because he still feels like he's getting close to a ceasefire deal. And so he, quote, doesn't want to screw it up by doing that. By that, he means sanctions.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on him internally, including from Republicans on Capitol Hill saying, listen, the only way to work with Putin is you got to turn the screws on him. You got to put some pressure on him. You got to put some sanctions on him. Keep in mind that we put on tariffs on most of the world, like nearly every country in the world, including a lot of allies, but none on the Russians, because his whole thing is being soft on Putin right now because I'm trying to strike a deal with him. And ultimately, more and more, he's like, maybe it's time to put some pressure on him, to which the Ukrainians, the Europeans, folks in Washington are saying, yeah, that's sort of the point here. That's what Putin responds to, giving him the store, basically, including most of Ukraine in terms of what he already occupies. Plus, he's still not happy with that. He wants even more than that. So you have seen frustration from Trump of late. He said over the weekend that Putin's gone crazy. He's playing with fire. Who is this guy? This is not the guy that I know. And so we'll see what comes of it. Here's a bit of Trump.
We're going to find out whether or not he's tapping us along or not. And if he is, we'll respond a little bit differently, but it'll take about a week and a half, 2 weeks.
All right, so that's the time frame here, a week to 2 weeks. We'll keep you up to date.
From the Associated Press, astronomers have discovered a strange new object in our Milky Way galaxy. An international team reported this week that this celestial object, perhaps a star, a pair of stars, or something else entirely, is emitting X-rays around the same time that it's shooting out radio waves. And then that cycle repeats every 44 minutes, at least during periods of extreme activity. In case you're worried, don't. The object is located 15,000 light years away in a region of the Milky Way, brimming with stars, gas, and dust.
Just to give you a reference, space terms, if you wanted to go check this out, 15,000 light years away, it'll take you about 39 million years, Jill, to go get to the bottom of this. If you want to head over there, get eyes on it.
By that point, I don't even know what AI will have done with humanity.
Like we're talking 4 years. You're like, what will AI have done in 39 million years? So this was all based on a study published in the journal Nature. Researchers believe it could be a highly magnetized dead star, like a neutron or a white dwarf. It could be something exotic and unknown. It's always interesting when you see scientists be like, we just discovered something. We have no idea what it is up there in space. They spotted these X-ray emissions by chance last year while focusing on a supernova remnant, basically the remains of an exploded star, which, by the way, is going to happen to us in a few billion years. Our sun's going to explode. But we'll be gone by then too, Jill. And by then, who knows what? It'll just be AI operating itself.
There's a weird vibe in this podcast today.
We're talking, just a reminder, folks, we're talking millions and billions of years away. Like AI will maybe stretch our lifespans by a few years. But
actually, one of the things that I thought was so interesting in that interview is Haim Israel saying that he thinks that our generation is going to live because of AI into our hundreds.
Yeah, because AI soon enough will mean 4-day work weeks, 3-day work weeks, 2-way work weeks, because that's one of the nice parts of AI, folks. You won't have to work as hard because the AI, they're going to be doing some of the work, depending on your job, of course. And so anyway, back to this story, Jill. We're going to soon learn, hopefully, what this random event is happening out 15,000 light years away. But astronomers are excited about this, and I get excited when astronomers get excited.
Okay, from the New York Post, should you shower in the morning or at night? A microbiologist says that there is actually a clear answer here.
I'm glad we're back to earth here for the final story.
It is the ultimate hygiene debate. And Americans, by the way, are deeply divided. A Sleep Foundation survey found that about 42% of adults start their day with a shower, while 25% wait until right before they go to bed.
What's happening with the other quarter? Are they not showering?
I was about to judge, but we do know my shower schedule's a little crazy.
Right. So just reveal to us, Jill, when do you shower?
I'm a midday shower.
Midday shower. So, so these numbers, 42% start their day, 25% end their day. That's 67%. That is 2/3 of Americans. The other third, that's 1 out of 3 people. I imagine we'll give you a few percentage points to you midday shower folks. But that probably means that 1 out of 4 people didn't shower today or tonight.
A bath? Could that be what's happening?
I'm going to talk to the Sleep Foundation. They did the survey.
Okay, but back to the question at hand. According to Dr. Primrose Freestone, who is a senior lecturer in clinical...
By the way, that's a great name, Primrose Freestone.
It almost feels not real.
Doesn't feel real, but then you find out they're in the UK. They're British. That feels Primrose Freestone. Dr. Primrose. Yeah.
So she is a senior lecturer in clinical microbiology at the UK's University of Leicester. She says there is a clear answer when it comes to keeping bacteria, dust mites, and other unwelcome bedfellows at bay. She says it is better to shower in the morning.
Oh.
So she says even if you shower before bed, which logically you might think makes sense, you're still going to sweat overnight, no matter how cool your bedroom is. And that means that by the morning, you're going to have both deposited microbes onto your bed sheets, and you're probably going to wake up with some BO. That's her quote, Moshe.
First of all, I don't believe that Primrose Freestone's a person. I think that's somebody, they named the AI Primrose Freestone.
Moshe, in this case, there is not a 0% chance that is what happened here.
Anyway, sorry, Primrose, if you're a listener of this podcast, please, we want to have you on actually to talk about this study because I have a lot of questions. So they break this down. At night, skin cells accumulate in your bed and then eventually become food for dust mites. This is a little gross, but you need to be changing and cleaning your sheets pretty often here because it turns out that even if you shower at night, by the way, Jill, we are night showers. My wife is a night shower. I'm a night shower. She converted me. I was a morning shower when I met her. And she's like, disgusting. You're not coming to bed not having showered all day. And so I converted to night shower for Alex. And I've been that way for a few years. But it turns out that even being a night shower, as we're learning in this study, you leave flakes behind in your bedding. They become, I love the New York Post, a buffet for house dust mites.
Buffet.
And while they don't bite, the droppings of dust mites can trigger skin irritation, allergies, asthma. And so clean your sheets often, even towels, folks. You come out of the shower thinking you're all clean. You're depositing stuff on those towels, and those towels, then bacteria develops. And so you got to be cleaning your, use it once or twice. You should change out your towels. The sheets, you should be changing every few days here. And so according to this study, showering at night doesn't stop your skin cells from being shed. And morning showers, on the other hand, and this is according to Primrose Freestone, can help remove the dead skin cells as well as any sweat or bacteria you've picked up from your bed sheets overnight, especially if you haven't cleaned your bed sheets in a few days. So they suggest, or she suggests, a morning shower will be cleaner as you put on your clothes for the day. You start the day fresh. But again, Jill, the issue I have here is then shower in the morning, fine. You have an issue with the depositing stuff overnight. But now you have all day's stuff. Like you've been sweating all day, doing stuff all day. So now you're going to bed with like 18 hours of just stuff, right? Like, especially you live in New York City. You're walking around, like all the pollutants and all the stuff, and the bus comes by and whatever. You're on the subway, you're engaged in stuff all day long. You go to bed, and I want the morning showers to make their defenses known on Instagram to me. But that still feels to me like you're going to put some more stuff in the bed than you would have at night. So I don't totally buy this, Dr. Freestone. Just saying. I think the night shower makes more sense to me still.
So I sometimes do a double shower.
Jill, is that good for the skin though? I feel like you shouldn't be putting that much soap on your skin.
They're quick. They're they're not really long showers. I'm just sort of in and out. But it does the job, to your point, of kind of like wiping the day away.
Yeah.
If I feel like I've been on a train or whatever it is, sometimes I will do the double.
I'll do the double. I'll take the double today. Yes. Well, let us know. I'm gonna put this up on the gram for the Mo News audience today. We're gonna put up this clip. We're gonna put up a poll, and we shall find out when it is you shower, America, whether you bathe. And I still can't account for the 1 out of 3 Americans in this poll that don't shower at night or in the morning. And you guys are gross. Okay, you need to be changing your bed sheets every day. That is your advice from this podcast.
Said without any judgment.
No judgment. It's a no judgment zone. We're nonpartisan. Just the facts. Some opinions, especially at the end of the podcast, as you guys know who get here to be on the podcast. All right, we end here on This Day in History. We begin in 1453. The Muslims conquer Constantinople, making it the new seat of the Ottoman Empire. Constantinople, of course, would then later become Istanbul. On this day in 1953, Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay become the first climbers confirmed to have reached the summit of Mount Everest. On this day in 1942, American singer and actor Bing Crosby records the holiday classic White Christmas, which becomes one of the best-selling singles of all time. It was actually written by Irving Berlin, who wrote it for his Catholic wife, because Irving Berlin, of course, was Jewish. In fact, he wrote some of our most famous Christmas songs written by Jews. So Irving Berlin wrote it for his Catholic wife. They were apart in earlier Christmas, and so ultimately he writes, White Christmas. And then Irving Berlin would later say, not only is it the best song I ever wrote, it's the best song anybody ever wrote.
Okay, chill.
Take that.
Irving Berlin.
Anyone ever. Irving Berlin's like, it's the best song ever. White Christmas? I mean, it's a good song, Jill. It's a great song. It's iconic.
Best ever?
Yeah.
Okay.
Take that, Swifties. Speaking of music, I don't know if this group said it was the best song ever, but Survivor releases Eye of the Tiger. Solid song, 1982, on this day in history. And our final on this day in history, the answer to the clue from the beginning, Jill. Joyful, joyful comes from what 90s film?
Moshe, it's gotta be Sister Act, right?
The sequel, Jill, Sister Act 2, with Lauryn Hill, a young Lauryn Hill.
I was so confident it was the original, but okay. Both I absolutely loved back there in the 90s.
Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit. It worked on multiple levels. The habit, Back in the Habit. So technically, we're going to give you points, though, Jill, because on this day in history, the original Sister Act came out. But the clue was related to Sister Act 2. So we'll give points for Sister Act 2 and Sister Act, depending on how you were interpreting the question and how you want to mark the day.
All right. Well, I'm just happy we're ending with a little joy, because I do feel like we got a little heavy in the podcast today. So
what's the future of the world? Moshe, why are you reminding us the sun's going to blow up at some point? Are we going to lose our jobs to AI? There's a lot of questions, but we're going to get you through all of this. Will AI replace this podcast?
It could.
Jill, I would like to, Fridays moving forward, just use AI Moshe instead of real Moshe. See if people can tell.
No, it's the Sunday to Monday. That one.
That one. So AI Joe will appear on the Monday podcast. AI Moshe will appear on the Friday podcast moving forward.
All right, everyone. Thank you, real people out there, for listening to the Mo News podcast. If you like what you hear, please share this with your friends. It will help us grow. Follow us, subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and review us kindly in the App Store.
Real reviews. But if one of you has a really smart kid who can write an AI that could leave us lots of reviews, I'll take that.
Don't encourage. We're encouraging cheating on our reviews.
Positive reviews. I kid. Kind of. See you guys.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Mo News podcast. Have a fantastic day. I hope you enjoyed.